bit more of what I call conflict. And then what I would wonder is, it seems to me that that's what I've got to label as happening here, is that there's some kind of a conflict, to be specific.
Yes, but I really want to.
Oh, now he's going to.
Yes, but
looking at the big picture.
Well, I mean, looking at the big picture, I think you can see that now, right?
Obviously.
Okay. I mean, this guy I'm having trouble with. But, and I don't think we have any trouble. I just, what I'm hearing is that there's a little bit of a thing. And by the way, notice how this happens. This is the structure of things like projection and transference. If I have two conflicting parts in me, and you start playing one of the roles, I'm going to have to polarize to the other one. And you're going to be that part of me I'm going to argue against. And notice when I shifted and I was talking about how man needs to do this and this and this, right? And he goes, well, don't you think the feminine traits are better? So it's a foreground background. He is going to have to take the role. I mean, in order to maintain a balance just in and of his own personal coherency, he has to play off the role that I am not playing. So if I go strictly to the man, or strictly to the feminine traits, what he's calling feminine traits, which are not necessarily looking at the big picture. I mean, we've got to be specific about what's really feminine here. I know a lot of very powerful men that were able to see the big picture, especially the master practitioners of NLP. Richard is really good at that. Now, if you want to call him a wimp and effeminate, I'll arrange a phone call. I'm just trying to get you to see the big picture of what the consequences that might happen.
yes, but I'm still a wimp.
Well, but I mean, I don't think that's the question. Let's go to another outcome. That doesn't seem to me to be really the question that you want to find the answer to. I think you want to find the answer to what is the most appropriate balance of not being a wimp or not, but what's the most appropriate balance of masculine and feminine traits. Okay, redefine. And so I'm saying it's not wimp stuff, it's about feminine traits versus masculine traits. That's kind of a redefined chunking up. It takes it out of this context. But notice what it also is doing, it's pacing and leading him. Okay? And so what I can do is I can kind of be specific even though I'm taking a bigger chunk. That specifically seems to be the issue. What is the balance, the necessary balance of masculine and feminine traits? Do you know?
Well, to give a counterexample, I don't think that's relevant.
Well, it seems to me, though, that that's the concern that you had with him. At least that was the concern. So you said
yes,
that wasn't really...
No, that's not really true. You're using too many words. I mean, like, he's...
We were just looking at the big picture just to see.
I mean, basically, he's a wimp that's always up here. And that's the problem. I mean, like, he never commits anything. He's never firm.
Well, is that true? Are you sure that you should... I mean, do you need to stay up there? I mean, it seems to me that you're very firm about that.
Flexible, yeah. Be flexible, be disassociated.
But you're pretty firm about being flexible, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you be stiff?
Like that?
Yeah, let's be stiff. Because it seems to me that, okay, we go meta level. He's going to be firm about being flexible. That seems to me to be a pretty manly thing to do. Ah, see, that got him, yeah. Okay. See that, so that maneuver, again, of going to a different logical level, okay, because it seems to me that that's something, if this guy was such a damn wimp, why wouldn't he have given in to you after all this time?
You cornered him. You cornered him, and he's just a nice guy. He's just a super nice,
well, I like to stay
guy.
out of
controversy. Well, do you think that, yeah, you like to stay out of controversy? That's why you're pacing him so well? Apply to self, okay. So in other words now, but I'm coming back to him, because I mean, that might, if you really want to stay out of controversy, don't you think that being able to pace an individual like this would help you to do that? It seems like you're creating a controversy.
No, just looking at the big picture.
Well, are you sure? Because that's all you're doing? And because if you looked at the big picture of your relationship to him, I think you'd see something a little bit different. Are you looking at that big picture of you in relationship to him?
Looking at our general conversation globally.
Yeah. What's happening? Are you creating controversy or resolving it?
In this context, it is not resolving anything in particular.
Right. By the way, listen to what he did. I thought that was great. I went, you, capability, are you doing this? And he says, well, it is not happening. Right? So, well, let's go down to environmental level here. You know? That guy's a wimp. What can I say? I mean, because it sounds to me, though, it was like there's certain things, it seems to me like there's probably certain actions that you could take, given the various possibilities. I wonder what possibilities could you take to help this thing come to a resolution?
Identify specific areas of commonality, right?
Listen to what he said, specific areas of commonality.
He's a global, identify all the specific areas.
Oh, wait a minute.
Global, huh?
Can you identify a specific area of commonality for him?
Let's see. Not offhand, because I would try to keep things.
Well, no, let's get to a specific area of commonality, looking at the big picture.
Specific areas of commonality.
Yeah, like, you guys are both men, aren't you?
Well, what about the Florida gun law? I mean,
Is that an area of commonality?
I don't know
Do
if
you
it's
both agree?
commonality.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is, if you're good at looking at the big picture to see all those possibilities and you want to find the commonalities, that might seem to be something that would be real important for you to do. Okay, so, again, what you're saying is that I can pace and lead him into doing something that is going to also change this feedback loop between the two of them. Okay, so it's, and again, what we're doing here, what's nice about this is that, and I think it's nice about being in the meta position as a negotiator, is you can start to see how the sleight of mouth patterns will lead the person into a particular perceptual directions that are going to start to change the interaction loop. So I'm curious, what is something? If this looking at the big picture is really going to keep you flexible, are you flexible enough to be specific?
I'm always flexible.
Is it flexible enough to be specific?
I'm always flexible enough to be specific.
Well, could you be specific about one area of commonality? I want you to convince him that it's common.
Well, I think computers are a great tool.
Okay, don't convince me, convince him. See, that's another thing. Now let's start. One of the things I want you to notice, sort of an overall tactic that I make. I kind of jumped up and we played around with big frames a little bit. Now what you're going to notice is I'm going to start getting specific with them. So now I'm going to say, don't talk to me anymore. At first, I wanted to be the intermediary between the two of them. I'm going to get the big frame set. Now I want you to look at him in the eye. You look at him in the eye. I want you to tell him.
Which eye should look at?
I don't care as long as you're seeing eye to eye.
The general.
It doesn't matter. The third eye. No, So I want you to look at him in the identity. So what I'd like you to do is, if you're flexible enough, you ought to be able to be specific about some area of commonality and convince him.
Well,
No, look at him.
Probably one area of commonality is that
Just want to make sure you're flexible.
all of our beliefs centering around the use of computers tend to agree that they are a benefit to mankind.
Which computer when?
Convince him. No, don't let him do that. Convince him. You convince him that...
Probably one of the greatest benefits was the IRS computer, because they always keep tabs of where people are at, right?
It's hard to disagree with that.
Hey, this guy, he thinks like a man, doesn't he? How can you disagree with that?
But he's a wimp. Like if I push on him, he'll just back off.
Try it then. I think go ahead.
You want to hurt my feelings?
You're not being,
not
it looks like,
directly.
so I might comment on here and I might say, because you're actually being a little incongruent now. See, I'm wondering, it kind of seems like you're sort of being a little bit weak about this. I wonder if you really do think that he would just back off.
Yes, but I think he would back off.
Look at him and tell him you think he's going to back off.
I think he's going to back off.
You going to back off?
From what specific?
We've got the roles reversed now. That's kind of a generalization. Now he's being specific.